she'll be linking up with, yeah, she's here. I have a guest. Yeah, she's here already. I'm just bringing her into the studio. Great, great, great. Good to have you, Sharon.
Nice to have you. Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm good, and good evening. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm super excited to speak about brands.
Well, you are so welcome. I'm sure our guests are eagerly waiting to drink from the well of your wisdom today. We are not going to waste any more time. We're going to kick off the show. Please introduce yourself and what you do as we kickstart the show.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Sharon Ngugi. I am a marketing manager at Nairobi Garage currently. I am a marketer. I like to call myself a storyteller because everything that I do matters marketing revolves around telling stories. So I am a storyteller, and in 2019 December I published my first book called Let's Make Lemonade with Sharon Ngugi. So pretty much my whole life and my career revolves around telling stories and building brands. So in a nutshell, that's who Sharon Ngugi is.
That's amazing. Good to know. So today on the show, Sharon, you'll be taking us through brand building. Brand building. So I want to start by letting you inform our viewers. What is a brand?
Okay. So a brand pretty much is an intangible marketing or business concept that helps people identify with a company, a business, or an individual. So that's the layman's, rather that's the term that's used to define brands by people who've studied brand building before. So it's pretty much, as again I'll repeat for the people to hear, it's an intangible marketing or business concept that is used to help identify a company, an organization, or an individual. Yes.
Wow, thank you so much. So talking about what a brand is, so who can build a brand?
Okay. I think that's a really interesting question. I think for me, literally any person out there can build a brand. But the thing for me that stands out, if you're looking to build a brand, is there a particular problem you've identified in the market, or rather in the society, that you're looking to bring a solution for? Because for at the end of the day, for people to even to even care about who you are, what you're doing, you need to be providing a solution to a problem they're having. So if you're looking to building a brand, identify a problem out there and find a way in which your business, your company, or you as a person can bring a solution to that. So it's pretty much for everyone and anyone out there.
Oh, so branding has nothing to do with just organization. It can be individuals, it can be whatever.
Yes, it can be, you can build a personal brand, you can build a brand for your business, you can build a brand for, for your company, you can build a brand for your church. It can literally be anything. So it's pretty much exactly how people are going to identify with you. Is it a church? Is it a business? Is it you as a person? When people see Papa Martins, what do they see? Like when people see Sharon Ngugi out there, or when people hear about Sharon Ngugi out there, what image comes into mind about who Sharon Ngugi is? So that's pretty much what a brand is. That's why I said it's for anyone out there who feels like they have a solution that they can bring to a particular problem that the society is facing.
Okay. So there is this thing about branding. So when talking about building a brand, am I the one who determines what my brand is, or is it my customers or the people that I have to provide services for? So how do we go about that?
I think when it comes to building a brand, the thing that stands out is first you have to understand exactly what problem. You remember when we were talking about identifying a problem. So you look at the market, you look at the particular things that you'd want to build a brand in. So once you've identified what the problem is, then you put yourself in the customer's shoe. For example, if you walk into a store, you've walked into the mall, and there are so many stores in the mall. What will make you enter a particular store and leave the next? That's what branding is all about. What will make people get drawn to you? What will make people get appealed to be a part of who you are and a part of who your brand is? So once you've understood, okay, fine, this is a problem I want to solve in the market, then you get yourself into the customer's shoes, and then you build something that is specific for them. At the end of the day, there's no need for you to build a brand that's not going to be for anyone, because that way it would be pointless. So even as you're building a brand, you have to have your customer, or rather your end user, in mind, because the reason why you're really working hard to build it in the first place is to ensure that you're solving a particular need that they have.
Wow, amazing. You identify a problem
Yeah.
that you want to solve. That's what makes you able to build a brand. Okay, the next thing I will want to know is what makes a brand to stand out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think when it comes to speaking about a brand standing out, there's so many things that could come into play. I actually wrote them down in points, and I'm going to speak about each one of them specifically. The first thing is authenticity. So how original are you to your brand? Like, the thing about authenticity is it helps people be able to identify with who you are as a company. So for example, when it comes to brand building, we could be talking to two kinds of people. There's one person who's trying to build a personal brand so that they are the brand that we're talking about. And then there's a person who's trying to build a business brand. So the bottom line is you have to be authentic as a brand. People need to feel like you're original. You're not copy pasting something from someone else. Probably you went to you traveled abroad and you found something and you've just brought it and copied and pasted it in Kenya, or rather in your particular country of origin. So you have to be authentic. You have to build something that is the way you say, when someone says, for example, if it's a personal brand, when someone says something you've done, do they see you in it? Like, even for me as an author, when people read my book, do they feel my personality in my book? Do they feel my conversational style? Do they feel the way I communicate and the way I talk to, like, it should feel like, for example, it's a conversation you're having with someone, and it's just that you've not met them personally. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about authenticity. The second thing is uniqueness. First of all, one thing I've gotten to learn and to understand in my marketing career is that there is nothing new under the sun. You will not sit down in your house or in your office and create something that is absurdly new in this world or in the market. Every single thing that you create has been inspired by something or by someone. So even as you're trying to be unique, when I speak about uniqueness, I'm also speaking about the aspect of being authentic, because when you are unique, when you are authentic, it's you are unique. Like, when I am original as Sharon Ngugi, anything that I do is unique to me. So, if as long as I'm not out there trying to copy and paste what people are doing, then I am able to maintain the uniqueness of my brand, which is very important, because at the end of the day, people will identify my brand with the person that I am. The third thing is appeal. At the end of the day, human beings are very visual. We are drawn to things that appeal to us. So even as you're building your brand, even as you're busy trying to select the colors, even as you're busy trying to work on a logo that is attractive, always remember that it has to have that appeal factor. Because at the end of the day, you need people to see and to love what they see. Because when I love what I see, let me go back to the point that I was talking about when you walk into a mall. The reason why you get into store B and leave store A is probably because of the lighting. The lighting is good; it attracts you inside there. Probably because of the kind of display they've put in their store. So there's so many things that we do as human beings that are driven by our appeal factor. So even as you're building your brand, it's very paramount to always remember and to always ensure that whatever you're building has appeal, and it's something that will attract people to who you are. Then also the other point that I thought about, and I think that's very important, is consistency. Consistency is absolutely paramount for any person who's trying to look for a brand, or rather who's trying to build a brand, because you're not out there to confuse people. I can't walk up today with, let's say I've chosen my colors to be blue and white, and all of a sudden after 1 month I've changed it to purple and gray. Like, you can't keep changing your brand every other day, because somehow people, first of all, people have so much on their minds, they don't have time to think about your brand and to give your brand priority. So when you're consistent, you always stay top of mind of the people that you're trying to target, of your target market and your target audience. So it's very important in terms of consistency of your messaging. What is the tone you're using to communicate with your ideal customers? What is the personality of your brand? What is your brand persona? When people see your brand, what do they think about? What do they associate your brand with? So when you're consistent with that, it's very easy for people to identify you, and for people to be able to, even when you're a mile away, I'll be able to recognize that. And I also, when I was even doing my research, I was thinking about a company like Safaricom. When you're out there and you see a particular green. Actually, nowadays even people call it Safaricom green. So what are you doing to ensure that your brand is consistent and it stays top of mind of people? Yeah.
Wow. You did mention something about when you get into a mall, there will be something that makes you to leave mall B and go into mall A. So
Yeah.
you're talking about lighting. So visibility. How important is that to branding?
Okay. So visibility is very important because at the end of the day, you remember when I was speaking about nobody is prioritizing your brand. You have to ensure that you're always top of mind. So you're top of mind by ensuring that you're visible. You're top of mind by ensuring that you've brought up a marketing strategy that takes care of all. If it's above the line, if it's through the line, and if it's below the line. Meaning, are you able to pay for advertisements, pay for a billboard for people to when you're walking or you're driving past a certain street, you're able to identify that this is a company or this is a brand that I'm trying to speak to? Are you able to come up with a good digital marketing strategy that will enable you to target people on the online space? Because we all know how the digital space has really skyrocketed, especially during the pandemic era. So what are you doing as a brand to ensure that you're top of mind of your target market? So that's why it's very important to come up with a strategy that takes care of all. It's a 360-degree kind of marketing strategy that ensures that there's no loophole when it comes to your marketing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sharon. And that brings me to a thought that came to my mind. I want you to explain to us when we talk about branding. Now, you've talked about logo, you've talked about signets. Now, logo, signets, and the exact services or end product that is being branded. I mean, how do they connect? Because we've seen a lot of beautiful billboards, and when we get to the place, I mean, the similarities are too far apart.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm not too sure I've understood your question, but I think how I've understood it is, at the end of the day, one thing I've really learned also in my career so far is you have to ensure that whatever it is, I'd like to say it as a story of sorts. For example, if you're out there and someone is giving you a story about this particular, water bottle or a particular phone, you already have a certain mental image in your mind, right? So as I'm giving you a story about a trip I went to and the things that I did, the kind of experience I got, you already have a particular image that you've created in your mind because that's how our brains work. So, for example, you were to take a trip to this particular country that I was telling you about, and then you discover it's absolutely like nothing I had ever mentioned. Probably the roads are terrible, the food is bad, the people are unfriendly. It means you'll first of all feel cheated and you'll feel as if it was a waste of time, right? So that's the same thing with your brand. It's one thing to create this amazing image. When people see your logo, it's perfect. When people see your website, it's perfect. When people see your branding, it's amazing. But when they get to the root cause of if it's your product, if it's a product you're selling, and if it's a service you're selling, and it doesn't match the expectations, that's where you lose it. So I think for me, branding, that's why I said it's a 360-degree thing. So for example, at Nairobi Garage, we like to call ourselves Africa's coolest co-working space, right? We offer businesses a place where they can come and it's a community of people who are doing things like those, right? So there's this amazing picture we've created about who we are. So in case you walk into a space and you realize it's nowhere close to what I was saying, all the things that you had created in your mind about who we are, it's like it goes down the drain and becomes a total waste. So I think if you're building a brand, it's very, very important to be able to ensure that the whole funnel is seamless. When I purchase your product, when I get your service, I am very happy with the service, I'm very happy with the product, and that way it will be able to continue the cycle of brand building, because I'll feel like whatever it is you are promising me, if it's on social media, I have achieved it when I got what I was getting from you. So it has to be a 360 kind of thing.
Yeah, you got my question and you answered it perfectly well. So, is there any difference between personal branding and organizational branding?
Technically, yes, because I think at the end of the day, one thing I'm sure we'll get to that at some point in this conversation. And I was speaking about a mission statement. Every time you're about to build a brand, it's important to have a mission statement. Exactly what is driving you to do what you're doing, you know. And when it comes to a personal brand and an organizational brand, the thing that will set those two apart is because they have different mission statements. So the strategy that I am going to use to build my personal brand, for example, will probably not be the strategy I'll use to build my business, because at the end of the day, we are probably aiming at different things. So ideally, unless both of you are trying to achieve the same thing, or rather both of you are in the same industry trying to do the same thing and trying to create the same kind of brand, they have to be different. The strategy you'll use to create your personal brand and that which you'll use to create an organizational brand is different, but the bottom line stay the same. You remember what we were talking about: authenticity, uniqueness, appeal, all those have to stay the same, but the strategy is what will be different, slightly different. Yeah.
So talking about branding, how does it improve uh, the business organization or the individual, maybe a music star or maybe a comedian? How does branding improve what you do or the services you offer?
Okay. I think for me, branding, one of the things that I really love about branding is the fact that it humanizes a brand. It humanizes a company, sorry, because when you're able to brand yourself, you remember what I was saying about the tone you use. So you have to be consistent. If it's the colors, if it's the tone, if it's a personality, when you're consistent with that, it becomes easier for people to relate with you. So I'm not just seeing your company on the TV and I feel like I can never. It's a computer that's working on that, and it's not human people who are doing that. But when you've grown your brand and when you're building your brand, it helps you become more human, which makes it easier for people to relate with who you are and what your company is all about. The other thing, it increases visibility and awareness. So because branding falls under branding it's very broad, it's very diverse. There's so many things that you will do to ensure that your brand is out there and people can recognize it. So if it's social media, if it's a social media strategy you'll use, if it's an email marketing strategy you'll use, if it's above the line TV advertising, radio advertising, all these play together to be able to ensure that your brand has more awareness out there. Because especially if it's a business you're starting out, if your business is not known by anyone and no one is concerned about it, unfortunately or fortunately, you'll end up not even breaking even, because people care about things that matter to them. So if I don't even know who you are, if I don't even know what you offer me or what you bring to the table, then I won't even give you two thoughts or even try to understand where you're coming from. So it helps you increase visibility, it helps you increase awareness, such that people are able to recognize you even from afar. The third thing is it helps you build credibility and trust. So, for example, when people, the way I'll just give an example of a practical friend. You have this one friend who is very close to you, a friend who means so much to you, and you know that you've known them for a while. So, for example, if someone was to come tell you that, for example, Sharon has done this and this, and it's crazy, and Sharon could never do that, you can be able to stand up and say, according to how I've known this girl, or rather, according to now how I've known this man, he's not the type of person to do what you're telling me to do. So I trust him because I have known him and I know what he stands for, and I identify with what he believes in, and I know what his mission statement is. Same thing to a brand. If you're a brand out there and you're looking for ways in which you can, you just want your business to be able to, because the thing about money is we give money to people that we trust. We give money to people that we think are credible, because you see that hard earned money you can't just go dropping at anywhere and everywhere. So even for a brand, if you've built a brand that is good, a brand that is relatable to people, and a brand that is humanized, people begin to trust you, and it's easier to even relate to your brand. And this point is even linked to my final point. It helps you build customer loyalty. So, for example, as I was saying with a friend, this friend will be able to stand up for you and say, according to how I know Papa Martins, he's not the kind of person who can do what you're saying. According to how I know Sharon Ngugi, he's not the kind of person who can do what you're saying. So, even the same, if you go out there and probably because the thing about building businesses and building brands is sometimes you will do something and you'll make a mistake, and you will need your loyal people to stand by you. Because if you don't have that loyal those loyal customers, then it's very easy for your brand to die. Because the thing about business and the thing about brands is the repeat customers are the cream de la cream of business, because these are people that will ensure that your day to day is catered to. Because I know every month this person comes back to the company to buy this and this, so you're able to plan around such information as opposed to new customers or new people walking into your store. So yeah, those are, there's so much, but because of time I can just speak about those 4 points. But yes, that's the importance of having brand building in an organization.
So, going by your words, the brands being built must be relatable,
Yes.
and that brand must have human face.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so must we break the bank to build a brand? How expensive is it to build a brand?
Okay. So building a brand nowadays, we are living in such privileged times. And one thing I like to say, as long as you have a smartphone and internet, you're well on your way to building the brand of a lifetime. So I think gone are the days where we spend so much money to try and build a brand. We spend so much money to try and do things here and there to be able to just grow our brand. Nowadays, there's so much out there on the online space that we can do. You just open a page. For example, you're selling shoes or whatever it is you're selling in your small business. You open a social media page and you just start. You go on Canva. There's so many websites out here that can enable you to design things, that can enable you to create artworks and graphics that will be able to to either make your logo, to be able to make content that's in line with your brand guidelines. There's so much information out there about brand guidelines, about choosing out the perfect color for the business you want to start. So nowadays it's very easy for someone to build a brand. It's just, what, you just quit giving excuses and you get out there and get started. So that's the first thing. So you start with, for example, if it's social media, you open social media platforms and you begin to just sell. The other thing is, one thing I've learned is content marketing is where it's at. It's very important to provide value to your target market and target audience. It's not just about going out there and saying, I am selling shoes. You want a shoe size 5, size 6. No, 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 no. It's about telling a story in a way that this person will want to relate with you and to be able to buy into your vision. So that's why content marketing is very important, to be able to just tell stories. And as I was starting, I said I am a storyteller, because pretty much as a marketer, that's exactly who you are. You're supposed to tell stories in a way that people are interested. You spike their curiosity and they want to be a part of who you are and a part of your company or your product. The other thing that's very important, actually, I realized I was writing notes, but I didn't even write them in a particular order. So the other thing is market research. It's a very paramount. Before you get into any business, before you get into building any brand, go out there, understand exactly what issue is in the market, understand exactly what problem you're trying to solve, what kind of value are you going to provide. Because remember, nowadays there's so much noise out there. There's so many things going on the online space in our lives. So you have to be very, very particular about what you're trying to offer someone for them to even give you time. Because remember, time is very precious and you can never take back time. Money, you can make more money, but time, you can never take that back. So you do research, understand exactly what the market is looking for, what the market is trying to satisfy, and then right after that, you're able to create a problem statement and to build a business or a brand around that. Yeah. Then also, developing a mission statement. A mission statement is pretty much a compass for a company. This will guide who you are as a company, the core values you have, the things you can and can't do, the do's and don'ts, and exactly what will keep you going every single day. In fact, if you're even able to get an office, if you're a personal brand and you're just starting out at home, write it out in a vision board, write out what your mission statement is, and begin to live out that statement. So for example, if you say that you will always be, one of the core values you have is integrity. So are you ensuring that you as a person, you as a brand are an integral person? Are you ensuring that you're living out the kind of mission you want to live, so that it can translate into your business? So, and then also designing a brand logo is very important, because at the end of the day, people need to be able to see, when I see your logo, I should be able to it's like, the way they say a picture can speak 1,000 words without saying anything. It's the same for a logo. Ensure that your logo is related to the business you're doing, and when I see it, can it relate with who you are as a brand? So if it's a personal brand, when I see this logo, can it give me an idea of who Sharon Ngugi is, such that when I meet her, it's like I'm ticking a box, you know? And then finally, if you're able to, when you're starting out, getting a professional website is amazing. It's very important for your brand, because what a professional website does for you is it builds credibility for you, such that if people, most times you'll go out there, maybe you've even gone for a networking event and you've told people about who you are, what are the services you offer, and people will quickly go and search you, and if they can't find you online, that's as good as gone, because no one has time to keep, people are very, we're living in a time where people are always looking for the fastest way out. So having a professional website is the best way to say so many things in such a short time. And it's also a very good way to ensure that you're credible and people know where they can find you in case they ever need you.
Hmm. So you don't need to break the bank to build a brand. You start from where you are,
Yes.
but you've mentioned something. Content, it's critical.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen content visibility, integrity,
Mm-hmm.
genuineness, and authenticity.
Yes.
Okay, going forward, as we learn about brand building, what are the challenges in maintaining a brand or in attempting to improve a brand?
Okay. I think one thing about brand building and even marketing as at large is it's very unique to people. The challenges you face in your brand are not the challenges that another person is facing in their brand, because remember, at the end of the day, the mission statement is different, the target audience is different, but there are certain things that are neutral everywhere. Like one is the challenge of evolving. I think this is one thing I've realized, because times keep changing every other day. If you probably told someone in the 70s that internet will be a big deal, in a few years, they would not have believed that. So as a brand, are you agile enough to be able to move with the times? Are you agile enough to be able to keep evolving such that you're able to satisfy your customers no matter what season you're in, no matter what times you're in, you're able to just move with the times and people are comfortable with sticking around with who you are. So that's the first thing, challenge of evolving. You have to be very, very agile, and you have to be ready to keep changing, keep growing, and keep being all about your customers and finding better ways in which you can be able to satisfy their particular needs. The other thing is copyrights. And when I say copyrights, I mean the sense of, out here there's so many copycats in quotes. You will do something, for example, in the fashion industry. If you've created a particular design and you think it's brilliant, and you know what? Within a few hours, there's already people who are doing counterfeit of what you're doing. So as a brand, how are you able to stay true to who you are? How are you able to hold your chin high and decide this is who we are, and these are the things that these are the boundaries you cannot cross? Knowing your place and being comfortable and being secure in your place as a brand, and knowing that the people that you've already created, the kind of community you have, the kind of loyal customers you have, that you'll keep them no matter what, because besides you being a fashion designer, there's more to you than that. And that's why branding is so broad. It's about even making sure the people, your target customers, feel at home, because people stay where they're most comfortable. So if they're using your products, ensure that they're feeling at home, such that even when better days come or better products come, they will always remember and stick by who you are and the services that you provide. The other thing is building a digital strategy. Building a digital strategy is requires so much. It requires so much effort. It requires so much research, because you don't want to do something. The thing about digital that I really love is digital is very, very targeted. You understand your target mark audience, you understand where to find them, how to find them, the kind of message they're looking for, and it's very easy for you to craft something that is particular for them. I'm sure you've experienced this so many times. You're online and you see something, and you even think this person must have known who I am, like, because it feels like something I really, really want. Despite the fact that nowadays we know there's so much more that goes into that, and that's a topic for another day. but it's digital marketing is very targeted, so it makes it very easy for you to be able to appeal to your target customers. But creating the strategy itself requires a lot. So that's one other challenge, because you need a lot of research, you need a lot of mentorship, especially if you can get someone who's been there, built a brand, and it's successful. Someone who can walk the journey with you would be really good. And then finally, maintaining relevance, because you remember, as we were starting, I was saying you have to be ready to evolve with the times. But even as you're evolving with the times, it doesn't mean that you'll start doing things that are not in line with who you are as a brand just to stay relevant. You have to maintain relevance, remember why you started in the first place, and keep doing that. Just find better ways of doing it, but don't lose the reason why you started in the first place. So yes.
Wow, wow. If you are just joining the show, this is Real Talk with Papa Martins, and on the show today, like you can see, we are having Sharon and Ngugi with us talking about brand building. You are gonna tell us more about your book. We're gonna get there as we go on in the show. So welcome. Please leave your comment on the comment section. Ask your questions and let us know whatever is coming to your mind concerning the show today. And after this show, we are going on the YouTube to upload this. Please go there and like it, listen to it, share this. And as you do that, I believe that God is going to bless you. Now, you've been talking so much about social media, social media, social media. What is the real effect of social media in brand building?
Okay. I think for me, social media, number one, humanizes your brand. You remember when we were speaking about ways in which brand building can help an organization, and the first thing I spoke about was humanizing your brand. The reason why this is very important is because when people are on social media, they want to feel as if they can relate with you. If you're a company that's, you're a bank, and that's why you're even finding banks nowadays are also on social media. Before, we would never have thought that you'd have a bank on social media, because it felt like it's a completely different industry that is not required on social media. But the reason why they've gone onto social media is to ensure that they humanize their brand, such that when people see a particular bank, or for example a particular company, they feel as if they can relate to it, and they feel as if they can even have a conversation. Because if you have a challenge and you go on social media, you find it's even easy for this company to be able to get back to you and to help you solve a particular problem you have. The other thing is, it's easy to obtain feedback through social media. The thing about building a brand is feedback is very crucial. The thing, operating a brand without feedback is like, you wake up, dress up, and leave without even looking at yourself in the mirror. Well, I know most gentlemen do that, but for women it's very, very, very important, because you get to see how you are, you get to see if if you look the part. So having or operating a brand without social media, or for example without feedback, is like that, because you need this feedback to be able to see exactly how your product or service is being received in the market. Because if you don't do that, it's like you're operating something without a vision, without understanding how people view you or exactly what you are doing. So it's very important to have social media, because it's an easy way to obtain feedback. I remember there's a time the whole aspect about Kenyans on Twitter became a big deal, because most of us are usually very quick to, when something happens, we're very quick to tweet it. If it's complaining, if it's appraising a brand, we're always very quick to tweet that. So through those tweets and through those comments from people, you're able to know exactly why people are placing your brand. And the thing about social media is, it's authentic feedback, because nobody is trying to impress anyone out there, and it's genuine, and it's coming from a point of concern. So the other thing is visibility. Nowadays it's very easy to, even if you're doing paid advertisements on social media, it's so much cheaper than even going and hiring a billboard. The amount of money you would spend on a billboard, if you would put that on social media, you'd get around even four times benefits than what you have gotten. So it helps you as a brand be able to be visible, and to also cut costs, because if you're able to put a certain good amount of money on social media, you get so much more benefits than any other traditional marketing methods. then it's easy to relate to. When your brand is on social media, you become easy to relate to. When people see the kind of content you're creating, when people see people that you have served, for example, testimonials. If you have a brand and people have written testimonials about them, they've given their testimonies about their experiences, people will be like, oh wait, if this and this person had that experience with this brand, then it means I'd have the same or even better. So they easily trust you just because of, having a place that they can reverence and a place that they can relate to. Then yeah, so I think it's a lot, especially on social media. Then there's also the thing about targeted marketing, because on social media, you remember when I was speaking about digital strategy. So digital has really helped businesses to be able to cut their losses, and you cut your cloth according to your dress, because this is the target market I have. This is what they like. These are their interests. This is where they are located, and I'll do an ad specific for those people. So I won't end up throwing my net into the ocean and hoping for whatever fish. I'll throw my net into the ocean and I'll expect to get a particular fish because I know exactly where this fish is found. I don't know if that makes sense. Then there's also the aspect about getting customer insights, which is very, very important. Insights really help you be able to build a strategy that is informed. So even as you're doing your research, if it's a feedback survey form that you've put on social media, if it's doing research and understanding exactly what people are seeing out there about different things. So for example, you want to introduce a new product into the market, you do a lot of A/B testing, and you realize this is how people have received this product, and I don't think it's going to work in this particular market, so I can try a different way or try a different strategy. So social media really helps you with that. Then it will also help you build business partnerships. And then finally, it improves shareability. I'm not even sure if that's a word in the dictionary, but what I mean is when things are on social media, they're easily shared. And that's why it's very easy for things to go viral on social media as opposed to traditional marketing. Because if I see this video right now and it appeals to me, I will just click share. And when I click share, if I have 5,000 followers, it means 5,000 people get to see that. And if those 5,000 share the same video, it's a ripple effect. So it helps you as a brand be able to get higher chances of going viral or even increasing shareability of your content.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sharon. That brings us to how do you protect your brand?
What do you mean, do you protect your brand?
You mentioned about counterfeits and copycats. So how do you protect your brand and make it unique?
Okay. Well, I can't quite say that I am so, familiar with all the legal requirements that you need when you're building a brand, but there's so much. I think nowadays there's so many law firms and so many lawyers who have come up to do a lot of IP, intellectual property protection. So if you feel like you've come up with a particular idea and you want to patent it or you want to copyright it, it's very important. One thing I've also learned, sorry, let me just digress, is that even as a marketer, you can never know everything. As a business owner, you can never do everything for your business or for your brand. It's important to seek professional advice or professional help when you need it. So if it's protecting your idea, if it's the legal requirements you need, it's good to go out there, look for the lawyers that a lawyer that is in IP, a lawyer who can advise you on ways in which you can protect your idea and protect your intellectual property, so that you're not out there working so hard and you end up losing something that you've worked so hard for. So it's very important to just outsource a lawyer who will be able to take care of that aspect of protecting your brand.
Wow, you actually answered that so amazingly. Copyright protected. Thank you. So how about the global economic meltdown that we are going through right now? How can a brand stand the test of time of this economic crisis around the world?
Okay. Well, the thing about this economic crisis is that nobody was prepared for it. And like you remember when we were speaking about ways in which you can ensure your brand can stand the test of time, it's just, it's going back to all these things we've spoken about. It's pretty much staying true to who you are, remembering what your mission statement is. And the thing about business and building a brand as well is that there's seasons to this. It's never a straight line. The days where you're on the mountain, the days where you're on the valley, but the thing is to keep it moving no matter what. And that's also tied to my first point. My first point is actually staying consistent even in the midst of a crisis. When people, for example, if it's on social media, if it's content you've been doing, keep at it, because people are looking for that sense of familiarity. For example, if you were to just decide to stop content altogether because there's an economic crisis or there's a crisis in the world, people will lose. People easily forget, because we have so much in our minds, we have so much we're trying to focus on in our lives. So you have to stay top of mind of people. If it's social media, even if it's just doing a post every day or every other day, if it's sharing content with your target market, that's of importance, and maintaining your messaging no matter what. The other thing I've also seen is, if you are privileged enough, if you're a business, to be able to have employees, it's employee advocacy. That's something that's very important. When your employees are happy with who you are and what you do and working for you, it's easy for them to keep, there's that. When you're happy with something, you're always talking about it. So if, for example, you love the place you're working, you'll always speak about this particular place because it's something that you're proud of. So it's the same thing, ensuring that your people are happy, they're well taken care of, and the rest will just, it's a ripple effect. They will speak about you, they will praise you in places that you're not, you don't have no idea, and it will be easy for you to stay top of mind at the end of the day, regardless of what is happening. The other thing, probably, is one thing that really keeps me going, even as a brand, is understanding that even if you're in that valley, even if you're in that low season in your life, there's still light at the end of that tunnel. So whatever you do right now will birth the kind of future you'll have. So even if you're having a difficult time in your business, even if you're having a difficult time in your business and it's a crisis you're trying to work on, remember that you have to keep it going, because whatever you do in this moment will affect the kind of future that your business will have, the kind of future that your brand will have. Yes. So at the end of the day, even if you have to crawl, even if you have to, walk on your feet, keep it moving no matter what.
Keep it moving no matter what. Yeah, thank you so much, Sharon. Yeah, you are still on Real Talk with Papa Martins, and we are coming towards the end of the program. Right now, we want to come to Sharon. So, who is Sharon, and tell us about your book?
Okay. So my book is something I'm very, very passionate about. I think it's a lot. I think growing up, those things that you usually say that you envision to do one day, but it feels like it's a vision for when you're 60, 70. I really knew I wanted to be an author one day, but I didn't know that becoming an author was something that a person like me could be, like so young, so fresh out of campus, you're just trying to navigate life. So for me, my book, Let's Make Lemonade, is pretty much about inspiring people to make the most out of every situation in their life. One thing about me that I'm very passionate about is to inspire people to live unapologetically, live your life without regrets. One day when you're on your deathbed, or one day when you're looking back at your life, will you be proud of the life that you lived? Will you be proud of the kind of story that you wrote? So my book is pretty much, it's me sharing my story. It's me sharing ways in which I was able to deal with the victim mentality. It's sharing the ways in which I was able to deal with the daddy issues that we hear many girls talking about out there, and deciding, what, I got to the end and I decided, if it is to be, it's up to me. So it's up to me to create the kind of life I want to live. So that's why, even as you read my book, my desire is for every single person who gets to read it to be able to have it as a handbook. It's not just a book you read and then you put on your shelf like the books behind me. It's a book that you walk with every single day in your life, and it's always a reminder that, what, life will throw so many lemons at you. So many days you'll feel like, I don't have it together and I can't do this anymore, but you have to get up and keep it moving no matter what. And at the end of the day, God has put you on earth for a reason. He has a purpose for you. So you have to believe in it, and you have to go out there and live it. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. So, where can we find your book?
So currently I'm doing signed copies. So when someone wants to get a copy, you just reach out to me on my social media platforms. Everywhere you can find me on social media as Sharon Ngugi. Just make an order. I'll send a book for you and we'll organize for delivery.
Wow, amazing. So, your parting words as we bring the show to a close today.
Great. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I had a great time conversing about something that I'm very passionate about. And my closing remarks would be, I believe that every single person has a light. You know, the way you've been given a candle, and your purpose is to light your path, or rather light every environment that you get into. So if it's in your career, if it's in your family, if it's in your friendships, your relationships, what light are you shining out there? You know, shine your light so bright that when people see you, I am a believer, I am a Christian, and I believe that when people see you and when people see your light, will they see God in you, or what will they see when they see you? You know, so it's about, for me, that's the thing that I really live with, living unapologetically, live your life with no regrets, because one day the truth is that you'll get to the end of your time, but will you have written a story that you would love people to read? And then finally, it might be hard. I know there's so many people out there who are going through a lot. Probably you have a small business and it was completely crushed because of the pandemic, and you feel so hopeless. I'm just here to tell you that you can pick up your pieces, you can get going. You know, don't wallow in that misery, don't wallow in that struggle and feel like you have no way out. Just remember that this is a season like any other, and like any other season, there's an end to it. So keep it moving, live your life unapologetically, and remember to light your path and light your candle everywhere you go.
Wow. Keep it moving. Live unapologetically.
Mhm.
Pick up your pieces. Make lemonade from your lemon. Amazing. Thank you, Sharon, for creating time to be with us today on Real Talk with Papa Martins. I have thoroughly enjoyed this episode, and I believe our viewers have also enjoyed it. Thank you for everyone who have tuned in. This is where we bring the show to a close. Until I come to your view next time. This is Real Talk with Papa Martins. Please go to the YouTube channel of Real Talk. Like this video, it will be posted there immediately. Please subscribe if you have not subscribed, and please share this with your friends. And I'm sure we are going to be bringing Sharon again, sometimes very soon, to talk on some other issues that might be arising. Until I see you again, keep fit and take care of yourself, and God bless you. Bye bye.